Good afternoon, folks. Mr. Saga here, coming to you with another fragrance review. Decided to kind of hang out in the sort of art gallery part of the house because today we are experiencing some true art. Today's review is going to be an unboxing and first impressions, and also probably come back and talk to you about the whole experience by the end of the day for a new fragrance from the house of Argos. So the fragrance we're going to set aside for just a moment. I do want to kind of go over a few different things and what you can expect from the house of Argos, what the house of Argos is. To start off, Argos is a house that is perfumed and owned by a gentleman by the name of Christian Petrovich, who is wonderful conversationalist, lover of history, lover of art, has a bunch of fantastic ideas when it comes to fragrance, both in the context of incorporation of mythology, Renaissance era art, classical era art. I've had the privilege of speaking to him with at one of the releases. That was the release preview party for Perseus Triumphant, because Christian is in Dallas and I'm pretty close to Dallas as well. So fascinating conversation. Loved hearing more so about the artistic idea, the spiritual aspects of the fragrance house as well. But what you're getting with Argos as a fragrance house is you are getting top tier presentation, top tier service, top tier everything. Now obviously that comes with a price tag as well, but in the context of certain higher end niche fragrances, if you're looking to purchase even for Black Friday, 18% off this week, even for the new release that I'm covering today, you're looking at around $300. And for me, it was just something where instead of getting a few niche fragrances, I decided that I'm going to continue to support Christian as I have in the past, because I like the product, I like how the house is ran, and I like for sort of artistic expression. I'm a big fan of individual niche, and I like a house that is still kind of grassroots. So that's what I decided to do. Few things that the fragrance came with. When you place your order, you're going to get, obviously, 2 samples from the house. I went ahead and picked up Charon's Vale, or Charon's Vale, or Charon's Vale. There's a multitude of pronunciations, but the river Styx, the boatman. And then Adonis Awakens. I picked this one up because I already finished my decan of it, and I desperately need a full bottle of Adonis Awakens because it is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite, raspberry scents. That's the big thing that I get from it. Rose and raspberry. And then Charon's Vale, obviously. Fantastic art presentation. Gorgeous stuff. A patchouli oud kind of rose fragrance that I've been interested in taking a look at. In addition, because I did the pre-order through Argos, I received, again, immaculate packaging and branding, a lovely travel atomizer for if I want to take any of my Argos fragrances with me on trips, which I totally would. Danae is one that I wear on a consistent basis. Again, presentation-wise, lovely. Heavy, weighted. Beautiful. Branding as well in there. And a real atomizer. Fantastic. Just, again, exceptional. This was thrown in with that pre-order. And then finally, a letter from the house that, again, with everything that Christian does, is going to have just art, immaculate, a lovely welcome letter explaining a bit of the house itself, also with further discounts, and then a Argos tester strip. Beautiful. All right, but the star of the show, the new fragrance, wrapped up carefully, because this is truly a gift. So, Fire and Desire, Vulcan's Revenge. Lovely stuff. Again, when we're talking about Argos as a fragrance house, it is a fragrance house that puts forth the idea of fragrance as an art form, but then also making that connection to visual art in the form of painting. All of the fragrances feature different artists. We're going to see here kind of what the plate looks like for this particular new fragrance, Fire and Desire, Vulcan's Revenge. Okay. So there is the packaging, the box itself. Again, normally I'm one of those folks that does toss fragrance boxes. However, for this particular one, you might want to keep Argos fragrances. It's pretty spectacular. So, when you open the fragrance, there it is. Discussion of the notes, the art, and also the mythology. I think that if you are ever doing any sort of review regarding an Argos fragrance and you don't mention the mythology or the art that's present here, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself and a disservice to those that are watching you. Vulcan's Revenge, so Fire and Desire. This particular fragrance is based off a mythological story of Ares or Mars. Mars and Venus. Ares is the Greek name for the god of war. Mars is the Roman name for the god of war. Ares in Greek mythology. And then Venus is your Aphrodite. And for this particular story that's being told is that there is a tale in which Aphrodite and Ares had a sort of love affair behind the back of Vulcan. Vulcan being Hephaestus in Greek mythology. He is the person that is a blacksmith. He manufactures Zeus's lightning bolts. Wildly intelligent, but also portrayed as rather ugly. Again, there's that interesting story where Aphrodite, being his spouse, being the most beautiful of all goddesses, and then Vulcan himself being not necessarily the most attractive. Interesting storytelling that's going on there. And yes, almost every single Greek god, even though they have all these spouses, is constantly cheating on one another. Zeus does it to Hera. almost every single time you hear a story, it involves Zeus sleeping with someone he's not supposed to. Danae, for instance, one of the fragrances from the House of Argos, that is about Zeus cheating. So, more cheating. It's just the nature of Greek and Roman mythology, but this is a gorgeous representation of that artistic aspect here, going with the frosted glass bottle, which a lot of people spoke very highly of, with Neptune's trident. Try not to cut my head off in this, but it's kind of hard. I'm a bit tall. But anyway, I'm sure you're probably wondering what this fragrance smells like, as am I. I did look at the notes initially. Haven't looked at them in a few days. I recall that one of the things when I was listening to Christian talk a bit about the fragrance is that this had a bit of a return to the house's DNA. And if you're unfamiliar with the house's DNA, the main thing that many of these fragrances have is they have a resinous aspect to them, a good amount of sweetness in most of the fragrance offerings, Mysore sandalwood being one of the other big ones, and then labdanum as well. So I'm excited for this one. The last two releases of Perseus Triumphant and Midas Touch. Midas definitely was more intriguing to me. Perseus didn't necessarily move me as much, but this one I saw that it had a little bit more of a return to kind of what the house's DNA sort of focuses on, so it intrigued me enough to go ahead and blind buy it, and I've never really been disappointed by an Argos fragrance. Sometimes a few of them haven't spoken to me, but for by and large, they can tend to be fantastically performing. This is an extrait de parfum. Let's give it a whirl. And great atomizer. Oh yeah, yeah. This is, for me, coming off very resinous and sweet instantly. Not fruity sweet, although there is a fruitiness in regards to orange and bergamot, but it's definitely layered, and that's sort of lifting up what would be that tuberose. Yeah, buttery florals with that oud underneath. I am getting that oud, and I'm digging this. Yeah, buttery, kind of white florals. Sweet. Almost like lactonic, almost, not too much. Again, more of a white floral. Butter, I think, is a better way to describe it. There is this sort of fattiness, almost, with that sort of white floral. Which, again, storytelling here is fantastic, because the idea behind the fragrance is it is Vulcan discovering his spouse's infidelity, and actually setting a trap, capturing them and putting them on display to display their infidelity, their cheating. Which, again, as I previously stated, I don't know how much that embarrassed all the other gods or the two featured here, because everyone seems to be cheating in Roman and Greek mythology. So, but it has this wonderful combination of, it's kind of fiery, resinous, woody, a little bit almost spicy, but then has this sweet white floral comfortingness, which you would then, of course, attribute to Venus. Wonderful storytelling, as always, from Christian. That is a gift that he has with scent, 100%. Midas Touch, if you've never smelled that one, it's one of the newer ones as well. It was his approximation of what gold would smell like. He did a great job with that. It smells like an alchemical gold bottle. Loved it. Yeah, this is beautiful. Floral, sweet, resinous. It's interesting as well. Christian had brought up that there were some similarities in regards to notes similar to Danae, but said that in regards to the way that the fragrance was constructed was not at all the same. He's totally correct. This does not smell redundant to Danae or anything like that, or anything else from the house, to be honest with you. But it has the tone of the house. Resinous, sweet. When I smell Danae, the thing that I'm always reminded of is like lacquered, shellacked, fancy oak furniture. When I was talking to Christian, I had brought up that it reminded me of when I was visiting Neuschwanstein when I was much younger, which is a German castle. It's the one that the Disney castle is based off of. And that fragrance always reminds me of smelling wood in that area. This would be in the bedroom in a castle like that. This would be the way that the fragrant kind of wood and flowers that would be left in a room to perfume the room would be. It's very opulent, luxurious. But I still think this is quite wearable, and we're going to test that today. Granted, it's around 55, 60 degrees, and I think that when you look at something that is heavy as this sort of resinous floral kind of fragrance, it is going to be something that you're going to want to stick to more fall and winter. But luckily for me, that's where we're at. And look at that oil sheen. It's kind of hard to see. There's a lot of shadow here, but again, Extrait de Parfum. He made a decision to switch from eau de parfum to extraits for the remainder of the fragrances that he is producing. So again, yes, around $300 for a fragrance is expensive, and that's with discounts. But you are paying for quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this on, and I'm going to run some errands, see how it develops, come back and let you know. Not just first impressions here. First impressions, though, if you're looking for a sweet, floral, resinous kind of fragrance, this will be right up your alley. So let's go ahead and apply. Way too much, but that's okay. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah. That's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. If you have been waiting to try out Argos fragrances, give them a shot. Especially with Black Friday, you can get the sample set, get 18% off. There's so many things from this house where I need full bottles. I'm just taking my time with it, you know. I like Christian's mentality when it comes to fragrance. I like his mentality when it comes to art. And I like supporting people that are doing interesting things in the space. So, I'm going to wear this, and I'll come back and see you in a few. All right. Well, it's been about 4 or 5 hours, so we're definitely in the actual dry down of Fire and Desire Vulcan's Revenge at this point, and I do have some thoughts. This is fantastic. Insofar as a unisex, evolving, warm and comforting kind of fragrance. Again, that opening, just to kind of respray it at this point. Again, bergamot, tangerine, lifting up that slightly medicinal oud. If you're worried about oud and things like that nature, I don't think it's necessarily off-putting. Again, though, it's subjective. If you're really not an oud person, sample. Okay? Sample. Because for me, on my skin, oud tends to pop. And I will say, this is a lovely balance of that citrus nature mixing with that oud, making it sort of bright, not overly sweet kind of in the opening. In the dry down, what has happened is more and more of that kind of creamy white floral and vanillic nature has definitely appeared. I love the story that's being told with this fragrance. That sort of bright, brash opening, you know, this idea of um, the infidelity kind of writ large, maybe even being captured by Vulcan himself with this sort of net that he constructs, that passion and fiery nature. I think there's a great story arc happening here. I think there's a little bit of sacred flame, a little bit of love triumphs over war kind of melding within these fragrances. There's that conflict that almost feels like it's present in that opening. And over time, Venus always finds a way to calm down a lover, calm down the sort of fragrance itself, and it morphs into more of this floral, creamy, vanillic tuberose. A little bit of patchouli as well, grounding the scent, kind of earthiness that's present. Just awesome. This is awesome. This is one that I believe is very much in line with wearability in regards to Danae or anything else from the house. If you want to talk about gender perfumes, again, I find this to be a unisex scent. Do I think that it leans feminine or masculine? Opening's fairly masculine. Citrus and woods. Oud. Dries down more feminine. Truly unisex in that capacity. Again, it's all subjective, so if you're overtly concerned about smelling feminine, sample it. But I think it does an excellent job of describing kind of a multitude of facets. It's a transitional scent. It's beautiful. At no point did it feel unwearable. I think that it's one of those ones that is going to be competing for Danae with me, where I'm going to look at this and Danae and kind of sit there and think about what I want. Because I will say, again, that sort of embrace of vanilla and tuberose, that white floral nature, it's not bubblegummy tuberose that can kind of happen. It's creamy. It's warmth. It's embracing. It is... as far as a fragrance goes, I think it captures what it set out to capture. Fire, desire. It is cozy. It is pull somebody close kind of fragrance. Excellent in regards to that. Performance, again, it's an extrait. It's going to last forever on your skin. Still getting that kind of sillage cloud. I will say it doesn't jump off the skin like some other fragrances within the lines, not room fillers like Adonis, I think, jumps off the skin pretty hard. I think Triumph of Bacchus jumps off the skin pretty hard. So does Birth of Venus. Those kind of more citric notes. Obviously, this is a bit more resinous and soothing and comforting. It's a wonderful fragrance. Again, if you haven't given this house a chance, I recommend getting a sample set. That's where I started. My wife and I started by getting a sample set and fell in love with a number of the offerings. This is now our third Argos in our collection. So it's one of those things where, especially as we get into kind of the colder months here in North America, I think that there's a ton of offerings from the house that you should check out, again, through sampling, that you will find more than likely something that you are really going to enjoy. Let alone the idea of just, again, the artwork. You know, these things on your mantelpiece are just kind of incredible. This scent, enjoyed it immensely. Yeah. I think that's really about it. I think this one is a home run if you were on the fence about trying it. If you are a fan of other DNAs from Argos, I think you will be a fan of this. I think that if you are into a fragrance that is a floral, resinous, sweet fragrance, not overtly sweet like many designers, but sweet from a resinous wood as opposed to sweetness from overtly coumarin or other kind of vanillic tones. There is vanilla in here, but it is a creamy kind of vanilla. It's not necessarily something that is overly sugary and sweet. And again, the opening's fantastic as well. As you know, I don't do traditional ratings because I find this to be kind of subjective art, and I think it takes away from things when you just assign a number to something. So what I'm going to say is, as I have said before with Greek mythology, stop cheating on your spouses. Out of 10. But seriously, Christian has done a fantastic job once again with this. And yeah, wherever you're at, evening, afternoon, morning, I hope you're having a good one. Go ahead and drop your scent of the day in the comments, or let me know if you intend on getting your nose on this, or if you have other interests from the House of Argos, or if you want to geek out about art history or mythology. All of those things are welcome, and I think that's exactly how Christian wants his products to be looked at, is that intersection of art, mythology, and scent, olfactive art. So, incredible stuff, as always. And yeah, I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Take care.